Our country was drastically changing, becoming more encompassing, more dynamic, and more daring year after year. We were developing life-saving medical technologies that would change the world, while also fostering a growing movement at the forefront of our story as a country. Yes, the 60s were an incredible time to be alive. Every single moment vibrated with possibility, and right at the center of this decade was the muscle car. Every ounce of the muscle car experience was meant to infiltrate your bones with the feeling of freedom and excitement. From the smell of the exhaust to the feeling of a rumbling, carbureted V8 engine, there is simply nothing like the feeling of a muscle car in the 60s. I know this feeling all too well. The world has changed, but our love for muscle cars has only gotten stronger. In fact, muscle car restorations and classic car restorations have seen a massive increase in popularity. If there's one thing most of us wish we could do, it's to go back and relive the days of our youth. Whether it be to take those chances you didn't take or to relive your life with the experience you have now, part of our older souls will always wish to be young again. Sure, we may not have a literal time machine to take us back into time, but we do have an incredibly powerful mechanism to make us feel like we're going back in time. Nostalgia. From the song that you danced to at your wedding, to your parents' old station wagon that you rode in on road trips out to the coast, these key events in your life are imprinted on your brain like a stamp. When it comes time for American muscle cars, these feelings and memories can be equally as strong since they remind us of the times when we cared a little less about the status quo and a little bit more about having a good time. After all, muscle cars were all about living life to the fullest. Why else would they be packing massive V8 engines, beautifully sculpted bodies, and low-slung, coupe designs? To be frank, the cars from this era were downright maniacal in every way possible. There were sporting engines like the Super B's Hemi that were pushing out obscene amounts of horsepower through chassis designs that were crude at best. They were a far cry from Mine Super B restoration with its independent rear suspension and meaty performance tires. Back in the day, skinny radial tires and drum brakes really didn't help the overall driving dynamics of the muscle car either, but no one really seemed to care back then. They were wild, dangerous, and literally, anyone could buy one of these machines right off the showroom floor for not a lot of dough. For younger people, it was simply addictive. You'll agree that driving a restoration instantly transports you back in time to when a younger version of you threw just a little more caution to wind. Don't you miss it? Whether it be today, or back in the 60s and 70s, muscle cars are all about straight-line speed coming from huge, naturally aspirated V8 engines. Horsepower ranged anywhere from 271 horsepower in the 289 Ford Mustang to an easy 400-plus horsepower in applications like the Super B or the 427 Stingray Corvette. What's even more absurd is that the horsepower ratings of this era were often blatant lies that were designed to fool the insurance companies into believing that these machines were less powerful than they actually were. Make no mistake, muscle cars of this era were blindingly quick. How quick? How about 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds and 0 to 100 in under 12? Yes, cars with this kind of speed could be purchased right off the showroom floor and be taken straight to a drag strip for some serious thrills. Sure, modern cars can easily reach these numbers, but they lack the raw, hair standing on end, visceral feel of classic muscle car restorations. When it comes time to rolling yourself back in time, there's just nothing like leaving the insulated cocoon of modern vehicles for something a little wilder. This touch means taking all this old-school speed and bringing it into the 21st century to not only be a monster in a straight line but also to handle in the corners with a custom chassis and fully independent rear suspension. This is the kind of thing that transcends decades and age groups. Why? Simply put, muscle cars are not practical in the least, and they were never designed to be that way. They are designed to look good and give their owners a huge dash of fun and sense of responsibility. How many times in our life do we get to throw practicality out the window and explore the more fun side of our souls? Every single time you step into a muscle car, you get to do exactly that. Muscle cars were gas-sucking, smog-belching machines that had little to no interest in the safety or environmental impact that modern cars must take into account today. There is simply no way that government regulations would allow a small block breathing through twin Holly carbs to be sold right off the showroom floor. Most Americans simply didn't think of all the things we need to consider today back in the muscle car era, and that allowed a carefree level of coolness that manufacturers are still trying to show off today. A task that is a lot more challenging today than it ever was in the past. To this very day, automotive manufacturers are still trying to capture the lightning in a bottle of the muscle car era. Vehicles like the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, and Dodge Challenger are still sold today by banking on capturing that timeless style and effortless nature of those original muscle cars. Let's be real though, as cool as these vehicles are, they are copies of an original. Thank you for the attention and have a nice day.